Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Connor Williams, and we're back with another one of our statistical video reviews. This time it is from the Sheffield United Everton game, which finished 2-2 at Bramall Lane. And I'll also, like I said, be going through that, giving my thoughts and feelings on that. We'll round up because it's been the first 4 or 5 games as well. We'll have a little look at the at how it's been going so far for us, and who I think's impressed, who I don't think is impressed, or well, not just who I think's impressed, how I think it's all going, looking at some stats, and then we'll look into Arsenal from their last game, look at their, sort of where their weaknesses might lie, if they have any at all. Because obviously Arsenal, very, very good football team, coming off a very, very, very good result against Manchester United at the weekend. And I think it's going to be a tough game. Saying that though, if you believe in bogey teams and stuff like that, they do struggle against us. Obviously, Sean Dyche got his first win as Everton manager in his first game at Goodison Park. So it'll be very interesting to see that. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start with this. Like I said, I'll be sharing this from my Twitter. You can follow it. You'll see the @ in a minute. You can follow it there if you want to. I'd appreciate it, but you don't have to. Yeah, just do what you like about that bit. But yeah, without further ado, let me share my screen with you guys, and we can have a look at all things Everton. Straight off the bat, it is going to be, if you've watched any of the others, it's going to be sort of in a similar, not vein, but in a similar sort of thing as that, the sort of same patterns are repeating. But here we go. So we can see here, we start with the matchday stats. You see Matt there if you want to follow it. So starting with this, you can see here that we continue to create under Sean Dyche. We're creating loads. We're also having big chances missed, Danjuma being one of them on that game. But as you can see, we got better ball possession, more expected assists. That's not very, at 0.77, 2.59 expected goals, which is really good. Theirs is significantly lower, which when you think about what their goals were, you can understand that. The second one for Archer is incredibly unlucky for us. But, Archer's had a really good shot and he's unlucky to hit the post. And it's bounced and he's got it off Pickford. So it's unlucky for us, but it's also unlucky for Archer because it would have been a really nice goal. But alas, didn't happen. As you can see, we had more big chances created. They missed 3 big chances to our 2. They hit the woodwork 3 times. We had 2 counter-attacks and 2 counter-attack shots, which is very, very interesting. Goals prevented, they prevented 1.68, whereas we didn't. We've got actually in the minus there. We had more passes, more accurate passes, slightly more long balls as well, but more accurate passing, which I don't think people expected under a Sean Dyche sort of tactic. But we are you'd argue, the better team. We should keep the ball more. Successful dribbles, loads more. I think in this game, Beto had 6 successful dribbles, which is the most any player this season has got in one game, which is fantastic. We did lose more possession as well. We made more tackles, but we only got 7 interceptions to their 11. I mention it here, but the tackles could be down to the protecting of the V. I go on to mention that Sean Dyche is notorious for saying about protecting the V in a box. He wants his players to sort of go in a funnel shape, so they force the opposition out wide, because statistically, although they can cross it in for a header, your defenders should be good enough aerially to cope with that. It's much better to give them space out wide and force them outside than to give them space in the middle. But because of that, the team are going to stay compact. They're going to stay in their shape, ideally. Doesn't want them coming out and pressing like mad. They press, but they press when they're triggered to, not just passing like mad. And because of the way they close down and they stay compact, they're not cutting out the passing lanes, which means interceptions won't be as common as when you watch the likes of a Liverpool, for example, who are told to not only press but to press in the passing lanes. So yeah, as I spoke about, we also have an XG. This is new. We have an XG map and timeline. This is very, very interesting. I love this sort of stuff. It's very, very exciting for to look at, and it just gives you a bit more of a feeling for the game. So as you can see here, this is our XG timeline. As you can see, where the yellow there absolutely dominated the XG throughout. Even when they got their goal, they didn't manage to jump up, and the own goal didn't count. And then this map here, for those who don't know, the stars are the goals, and the bigger the circles of shots and the bigger the circle or star, the more likely you are on the XG parameter to score it. So as you can see here, they had some really good chances, sort of around our box in blue. They're in blue, we're in yellow. There, the own goal is the little tiny, tiny yellow star there because you just don't expect it. And their other goal is the little tiny blue one. You look at ours, both of our goals, high XG. The core race was practically a tap-in. And to be fair, so was Danjuma's. It was a great cross by Patterson. And then you can see here a couple of shots from outside the area. We need to get more of these in the box. We need better goal scoring opportunities in the box as well if we want to succeed. How we try and do that, I'm not too sure because you don't want to waste your chances holding onto the ball too much. We're going to have to find a way to break into that box, which is going to be a little bit tough without a creative midfielder. These are the attacking zones for the game. Both teams used the wide areas. We played through the middle a little bit, but mainly we were both flanks. They tried to use their flanks as well. We did well to push them back. As you can see here, 35% of the game was played in their half, 41% being in the middle. We just fell to some really good counter-attacks by them, and an unlucky goal from a good shot by Cameron Archer. And now we have the formations. Sheffield United playing in a 3-5-2, which feels like they've been doing that for years. They clearly just hire managers that are 3-5-2 specialists, which I commend. It's very clever. The players will all be used to the system. So it's well worth doing that. As you can see, our 4-4-1-1 as well, which I'll get up now, is here with Decore behind Beto. With them playing a 5, a 3 at the back, and then a 5, it causes a lot of central overloads. We did really well to combat that, though, with the fact that Decore drops back into the midfield to make a 4-5-1 or even a 4-1-4-1 when defending, which just helped sort of battle those midfield battles. They do play with just the wing backs, which is where I think, got most of the fun in down the wings. You can see Danjuma had a good game, and Patterson did. We were causing overloads on their wing backs. They couldn't cope with it. Then the centre backs are being forced out and dragged out of position, which then leads for opportunities for us to get a goal. Because as you can see, their centre backs, as soon as they stretch out, they'll stretch out here and here, leaving Egan in the middle. Our players are going to double over here and here. And then it leaves Beto, say now here, Decore here, and then like Onana and Gay there, and the two centre backs like further in. But you see what I mean? And then Egan is on his own and has a lot to do all of a sudden. So it was a really, really good plan by Sean Dyche and Everton. I think they just read their opponent really well. Now we have the average positions, because don't forget, formations are just what you're meant to look like when you're flat. You can have formations that are flat, or a 4-3-3, and then in attack it's like a 2-5-3, 2-5-2. As you can see here, Sheffield United were very central. Their two centre backs there with the three midfielders. There's a massive gap here and there's a massive gap here. So you can see where I mean. Here would be perfect for an overload. You get past him with ease because there's a 2-on-1. He then has to get dragged out. These two are here causing a bit of a problem for the overload. which was down our right-hand side, which was Garner anyway, but Garner's sort of like hovering here, which means Patterson could still go in. And then look at the space here as well behind. And here, it's just opens up so much in this sort of position. And then you look at our shape, and our shape is actually very good. It has to be said. There's the two right players, there's the two left players. When you think what their formation looked like, their average position, all this space was free. Their two centre backs were clustered here, which Beto is onto, and then he's got Decore ready to burst in. Garner tucks in a little bit, which is nice. It drags one player, one of their players here to mark him, which causes Patterson to fire down here, which I think we saw for Danjuma's goal, to be honest. Patterson firing through because Garner had tucked in to sort of take the man away, and he crossed the ball in, and Danjuma was there to finish it. Interestingly enough, as well, look at the midfield three here. Like I said, when defending almost, it was a 4-1-4-1. So you can see here, 27 dropping in the hole, 8 and 16 as two centre mids. Really great formation. I don't think it's what Sean Dyche wants. I think he wants the 4-4-2 that he's used to. But for now, it's not a bad compromisation. I think defensively we'll be better in his 4-4-2. And attacking wise, we might even be better. But it's not bad at the minute. I think there's method to it that you can see working. Now we have our pass maps, which are very, very interesting. You can see here our right centre mid, who is Idrissa Gueye, I believe, or Onana is a Gay. Idrissa Gueye is at the heart of everything here, passing well to Patterson, to the two centre backs, to the shadow strike, which is Decore. Onana, great partnership with Ashley Young. Possibly could do with getting more balls to the centre forward, but Patterson found Beto really well here, as you can see by the purple line. Really, really good. It's also worth pointing out that Patterson had one of the most progressive passes attempted and completed, and he had the highest expected assists at 0.46. Branthwaite, really good pass percentage, completed. Idrissa Gueye, another one. Really, really solid from our midfield there. Beto received 15 progressive passes. Really great. Since he's come into the fold, we look a lot better. It has to be said. Beto, I'm a big fan of so far. As you can see here by Sheffield United, you can see their shape is so disjointed. When you look their left wing back, there's still all that space going down that we've spoken about already from their average position. All this space here. The right wing back's caught high up here, which means the right centre mid is going to come to bail him out, which leaves Egan on his own there. It's just absolutely lethal. But Souza was at the heart of everything for them, and Norwood. They were pulling their strings. Probably could have done with hammering a couple of them. But like I said, Dyche's method was to just protect the V, and just hit them on the break and cause overloads. And I think it worked. As you can see there, Nathan Patterson 0.46, followed by Ashley Young next. Now we have the individual pass maps, which again show that Young, Pickford, and Patterson tried the most progressive passes, followed by Tarkowski. The problem here, as you can see, we're using the wings as well. The problem here is Onana, despite the fact he has it in his locker because there's a couple of progressive passes there. Him and Gay, fantastic by Idrissa Gueye, by the way. Just because he plays the simple pass doesn't mean it's bad. It's actually really great ball retention. But they will lay it off quite easily because we are playing down the wings. So they'll lay it off to the wingers so they can get the crossing. When you look how much Ashley Young's had the ball and how many balls he's trying to put in. Nathan Patterson as well. We're playing with our fullbacks, really, which is another interesting one because as you can see, Garner didn't get many balls in. Neither did Danjuma, but Danjuma obviously provided the attacking threat. The only thing I will say is that obviously a lot of our progressive balls are coming from Pickford, Patterson, Young, and a couple from Tarkowski. That's a lot of balls coming from the back, hence the long ball stats. We could have done with having a creative midfielder, but we've sold ours. And now we really need one. Onana is decent on the ball. He has got a good pass on him, but we bypass the midfield to get to the wingers. maybe we need to try and unlock Onana a little bit more, let him have a bit more space to pick out some passes. But yeah, if we don't have a creative midfielder who can pick out a pass, we are going to struggle. And I think the ball and the chances need to come a little bit earlier, a little bit further up the field. Here we have the defensive actions. Ashley Young, really busy down here, but predominantly very, very good. Lost a couple of headers and tackles and fouls, but predominantly very, very good. Both centre backs had a great game. Gerard Brantwaite there only lost a couple of headers, I think that is, and gave away a couple of fouls. All in all, only lost, but I think that's still fantastic for him. Tarkowski as well did really well, and it has to be said, Idrissa Gueye had a really nice game as well alongside Onana. I think Idrissa Gueye, will get onto him a little bit more and a couple of other players, but I think he's having a really, really good season. But overall, I would say that we're struggling to create, which is one of the problems with us at the minute. We are struggling to create chances. We're not struggling to create chances. We're struggling to finish. We create plenty of chances, which the XG shows. We just need to finish them. The game had some tough luck. Danjuma missed a good opportunity. Their second goal, like I said, bouncing off Pickford. I'd say a little bit more creative ability up a bit further up the field and midfield, and maybe two strikers would help as well. But that's not a knock on Beto, because I think he's actually had a really good first start to his Everton career, obviously. Speaking of his Everton career, though, before we move on to Arsenal, we are going to look at just how well this has been going for Everton recently, and I will speak about a couple of players that have impressed me as well. But yeah, so as you can see here, I'm going to share it now. This is Everton's team profile for the first load of games that we've played. As you can see, open play, non-penalty XG is very, very high. Set piece, non-penalty XG as well, very high. We're very good at set pieces. Big chances created, 1.5. 14.8 shots, 11.2 shots conceded. Really, you want to have that a little bit lower. I think this is the only thing with Deitch's side. We are doing really well to create, but we're conceding a lot as well. Crosses to the box entries could do with being a little bit better. That's a bit concerning. But I think once you have Harrison come back and you get two out and out wingers, it might be a little bit better. Really good for long balls. We're not so great at possession, but I think we all knew that we'd be contemplating that. Dribbles aren't great either, but now that Beto's there, he's going to boost them massively. And final third tackles are good. So in the final third tackles, that shows we're pressing well. And this is compared to teams, by the way, in the Bundesliga, La Liga, Liga 1, Premier League, and Serie A, not just the Prem. So not just the Prem. And it's really, really good, this. In bits, it shows we're pressing. We could do with keeping possession a little bit more. There's no doubt about that. But on average, 46% possession is not awful. And we could do with stopping the shots getting away at us. That's the other big one. But overall, I don't think it's been a bad start. I think we are still missing some tools. We've got Jack Harrison's come back, who I think will do very, very well for us when he is back. And we've got some other players away at the minute who, we think Calvert-Lewin, when he comes back, and I think he will go in the fold alongside Beto, I think that could be a bit of trouble for some Premier League teams. He will definitely win the aerial duels. And I honestly think alongside Beto, it's going to be a really exciting partnership there. But yeah, definitely. The one last thing I'll show you guys before we get on to Arsenal is by Between the Posts, which is a great Twitter account to follow if you like stats like myself. It's an absolutely brilliant one to follow. This is all the Everton managers' XGs for, XGs against. So we can see here, David Moyes, fantastic, in an era where XG didn't really mean anything either. I think it was just coming into its own by about here. But to normal fans anyway, obviously football experts might know it then. Roberto Martinez, really good till it wasn't. That's about right. Koeman, for every chance we were creating, we were conceding even decent a chance, which is a little bit alarming. Then we stopped conceding them. You can see here, Allardyce weren't creating many, were facing a lot. It only comes back up slightly under Marco Silva, and then Carlo Ancelotti with a big spike there helped us defensively. We were fantastic under him, although we it was a bit hit and miss towards the end. Some games, Sheffield United, you think, whoa, should have beat them at home. Benitez dragging it back down. Frank Lampard absolutely dragging it all the way down, just not creating any under him and conceding loads. And then Sean Dyche is here. You can see he's got a lot to do to bring the XG against down, but he is bringing from Frank Lampard the XG4 up. So the people who are like, is he any better than Frank Lampard? The answer is yeah. Um, as soon as he gets the defensive side sorted, I think we'll be very good. But it's interesting because I think when we signed him, people were like, well, we can forget us creating anything, that we're going to be Sam Allardyce 2.0. And that's not true because we're actually creating loads more under him than, the previous two managers. So yeah, also shout out to Marco Silva here because he did manage to turn this around during his tenure. Absolutely decent guy. But yeah, very good. And then finally we just have Arsenal to look forward to after the international break. I'm sure many of us are absolutely thrilled for this game, and I'll share Arsenal's map of their last game against Manchester United and look at where weaknesses might be. So you see here, very interesting, isn't it? Zinchenko is that inverted left back, which everybody loves at the minute. You can see him there. Should probably change the colour to something that doesn't match the pass map. You can see, I believe it might be Martinelli as our left wing forward, very high up because they have Kai Havertz and Nketiah here, Kai Havertz here. Arsenal's shape is very weird. It has to be said for me. They've got Saka here with the right centre mid, and then it's just all a bit strange. Obviously, it works, but it's very disjointed. It's almost like a two. When it's in free flow, obviously this is just a passing map. When it's in free flow, average positions, I expect that it's a 2-3-5. These come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slightly under them in a 2-3-5. Interestingly enough, you can see there the CDM, which was Declan Rice. Very good by Declan Rice, at the heart of most things. Most passes, progressive passes attempted as well. Third most completed. He just had a really good game. Declan Rice completed the second most passes behind Saliba, who obviously linked up well with him, as you can see there. Honestly, I think the best chance is what we did last year. Keep it compact, keep it tight. Hope for a set piece or something like that, and see if we can get them unstuck that way. As soon as you start trying to press, it causes problems. You don't want to try and close down Zinchenko. Zinchenko did an interview with Rio Ferdinand about inverted fullbacks, and he said to Rio Ferdinand, "What do you do if I invert?" And I think Rio Ferdinand said something like, I'd leave you in the middle and hope my winger can deal with you. But if your winger tries to deal with him, he gets drawn in, and it's then Martinelli versus your fullback, and Martinelli versus Patterson. Although Patterson had a good game against Sheffield United, I do fancy Martinelli to win that most of the time. The one thing I will say is obviously Zinchenko inverting. If we catch him quick enough, maybe we can sort of beat him down the byline and get a cross in. The only problem with that being that Garner is probably going to play right mid, and I don't think he's that player. If we had if McNeil was fit, I'd play McNeil on the left, Danjuma on the right, and use Danjuma's pace to beat him. But I can see it being Garner once again, just due to the cards being dealt, which is going to cause problems. But yeah, that's all we got time for. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below your thoughts. How do you think we'll get on with Arsenal? Let me know. Look forward to reading it. I'll see you soon.